With much hoopla surrounding the major project office and its opening in Calgary this past week, with the goal to pick specific projects and separate them through a fast track approach, I just think, it all sounds so good, but that and a dollar won't buy a cup of coffee. I mean, feel good announcements are easy. The hard part is creating an environment for capital investment. Well, in the hopes of getting special treatment, I see that office being absolutely overwhelmed with people with their new applications, some hoping for government money, etc. But the problem is, I think that'll result in more cost and more time. Because I can't think of a single example where adding a level of government bureaucracy has speeded anything up and didn't result in higher costs. I mean, the Liberal government's going to pick and choose which projects get the special treatment and which ones don't. And I think it's hard to believe that politics aren't going to play a key role in that selection. I mean, all the decisions are going to stop at the Prime Minister's office. And the blatant reality is that no one in cabinet or caucus would dare stand up to the Prime Minister. I mean, this gets to the heart of a major ideological divide in Canada, an economic model founded on government interventions versus the private sector. You got to remember, as a trustee of the World Economic Forum, Prime Minister Carney was a supporter of what's called stakeholder capitalism that blends government and societal goals with the private sector. All I'm pointing out is that the track record of that is brutal. I mean, come on. This is just a week after the Quebec government announces that the Northvolt battery plant, which was greeted with so much fanfare and billions promised in taxpayer subsidies, well, it's not going to happen. Within 12 months of the government's big announcement, the company applied for bankruptcy protection. And that's just one example. I mean, there are numerous other government financial mistakes / disasters, Muskrat Falls Generation Station, the Sustainable Development Bank, past bailouts of American automakers with job promises that never materialized. And you might remember during COVID, the Fed spent $323 million tax dollars in an investment in Medicago, the manufacturing facility the Feds invested in to produce COVID-19 vaccines. But you know what? They didn't produce a single dose, and it was closed. I mean, there's a lot of other examples. And the reason for consistent underperformance, though, even outright failure, is straightforward. Other considerations besides profit and loss that normally inform an investment decision regularly take a backseat to other considerations, like the governing party's electoral fortunes. I'm not being pessimistic, I'm being realistic. If Prime Minister Carney is serious about giving the economy a much-needed boost, given the recent dismal stats, we got a shrinking economy, got unemployment hitting 7.1%, well, why doesn't he listen to the consistent advice from, for example, the oil and gas industry and create a level playing field for all companies that could attract the needed capital investment? For example, repeal the West Coast tanker ban that put the final nail in the coffin of the Northern Gateway pipeline, along with getting rid of the emissions cap and other regulatory roadblocks that literally would cost the government nothing to do. I think Macdonald Laurier's energy expert, Heather Exner-Perot, summed it up very well. In quotes, "It is bewildering that instead of canceling the regulation that everyone knows are a barrier to becoming an energy superpower and getting energy to markets in places like Germany, the government is advancing a new scheme to pick and choose projects that it will bankroll and fast track through a regulatory system left broken for everybody else." As I said, a great summation. We're going to hear a lot more about new projects supported with our tax dollars, chosen by the government. But you know what? That's a long way from becoming a practical reality.